Nathaniel Moses, Nathaniel Moses, Moses.
And you state your Anishinaabe name?
Giwait to no nene in Dishnakazo. Northman is my native name.
Are there any protocols, like for example, sunrise ceremony? Is there that kind of protocol done before a powwow is?
Okay, so each community or each individual woman or man has a gift, and their gift is might be a little different teaching of their protocol, depending on their dream or their gift they were given. But I know before a powwow, you would actually have a feast for the grounds where they're going to be dancing in the beginning. It's usually a 4-day event, so they would actually light a fire Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it must be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It actually the sacred fire is lit for 4 days anyway. So the feasting of the grounds and the sacred fire is lit for the purpose of the beautiful healing in this ground of this powwow, that powwow ground we're going to dance in. It is told that if any item that is taken out, like a drum or a feather or something sacred as this turtle shell, or even the purifications that we utilize as a nation, it's told by the elders, once something like that is taken out, the greatness of the spirits come into action, and they assist us in the circle of life. And then when we put them back away, it's told that the spirits usually travel into the north as a resting place. And then that protocol, again, the tobacco is given to a drummer or a dancer, and then of course you're touching this beautiful sacred tool again of the sacred plant. So the whole concept is, as soon as you bring something out as sacred as a plant, that's when the beautiful spirits come to help and assist again. It's just like as the sun travels east, comes up, goes down, and then rests in the north. That's how this the protocol of the drums and the dances and the powwow grounds are to be.
Okay. Another question is, there are 4 posts at each direction. Are you able to say what they symbolize?
Well, I could actually give you a surface teaching. When I talk about surface teaching, it's just something what I'm saying for people to really learn this protocol. You have to attend events or attend ceremonies to be fulfilled of what I'm explaining. For example, this drum has 4 posts, and in a powwow ground, they actually create posts of each of the directions, so east, south, west, and the north. And during these feasting ceremonies, the 4 days, and with the sacred fire being lit, these poles are put up with an offering into the ground, and these poles are actually stuck into the ground with our beautiful medicines on the stick, representing each of the direction, but also maybe a miguin, a feather that's hanging on to these posts. And as the powwow circle enlights, these poles are there to protect our people inside the circle. So we should always have the goodness into the circle. When you come into the circle, we're here to have, as I'm going to say, we're here to share and care and have a good time. That's what these posts, to me, mean into the powwow circuit or the powwow ground. The grand entry, it's been told on YouTube that the grand entry is from that gentleman that hired all these native people, and they brought these native people to reenact their life of Indians, the term Indians, and did a show in their parade of cowboys and Indians back in the early days. But my concept of a grand entry in the future, it's to bring identity into a circle. It's to bring your identity and the beautiful colors that you show on the regalia, the pieces that you wear, into the circle. Because for me, as a traditionalist or a traditional thinker, I think these colors and all tools that we use are elements from natural items that surround this earth. So I'll give you an example. Green, say you have a green shirt on. Well, green could represent many things. That's a natural element, like the leaves on a tree or the grass that grows. Could be from a flower's petals, and so on. And another example, blue, right? These are just examples that when I teach children or people that don't know the way of thoughts, well, blue is the natural element of the sky, or even the water, some say. Right? So these are the colors that we bring into the circle, into the grand entry, to show our identity and our appreciation to our Creator.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. You?
I'm doing good.
State your name and what you do at Powwows.
Wish que queijo ban sense ko at dish nikas. Mukwan ne totem. Puch no na tonjan. Just call me Ron though. That'll be good.
Okay, Ron.
That's my given name.
What is the history of Ojibway Powwows of Lake Superior, the Ojibway of Lake Superior? Do you know anything about that?
Well, they're fairly new. I think one of the earliest powwows that I recall being a kid was the powwows that they held on Mount McKay at Fort William First Nation. And they had contest powwows at one time, and then I believe it's gone back to traditional powwows. But that was the only community that I ever recall having powwows in I would say mid-70s, and that's and I don't know how far it went back before then. They were the only one that was really powwowing. Most of the communities on Robinson, when you say Lake Superior area, the people in the north, on the north side here, communities, were probably running anywhere from about maybe 35 years, give or take, annual. Prior to that, there were no powwows here. We didn't powwow in Lake Superior area. We basically went from sort of Midaywan practices, sort of around World War II, and then as it got shut down or people stopped practicing, everything kind of went dormant, and then the powwow was sort of a resurgence. It was something that it sort of replaced what we lost. The big drum and the powwow is what came to replace the old teachings that we used to follow. I always call it Old Testament, New Testament. So if I was talking about, if I was to put it into them kind of terms, I would say the powwow is like New Testament, and the big drum is New Testament, and the Old Testament's like Midaywan, Wabannowan practices, those kind of teachings, water drum, that kind of stuff. That's old school, and that when that kind of was silenced or kind of put down, and this powwow thing is a Lakota that sort of really sparked in our area because people were desperately looking for something. So that's what really caused this, I guess, to get. It's almost like we got a second breath of life, and there were different people that were part of that. The late Richard Lyons played a big part in that for this area. He brought it to Thunder Bay and the surrounding area, and had young men that participated with him. Another individual was Douglas Sinaway from White Sands. He also brought a lot of the big drum and the Lakota teachings to our area. So that's why you see a lot of people now dancing lots of feathers, and we've borrowed these teachings from our neighbor, and we've been given sort of a second chance. We've been given this drum to start over. So it's been pretty powerful for us.
Awesome.
In this area of Thunder Bay, we had an elder by the name of Dr. Richard Lyons who scoped out the powwows in time.
What is the importance of being a drummer at powwows?
Well, I think without the heartbeat, you can't really have a powwow. So the drum is kind of the integral part of the whole thing. As far as the drummers, each drummer plays, holds a different role and responsibility when he sits around a drum, right? Like if you're sitting around a traditional drum, everybody has a role and responsibility. Maybe they're in charge of the pipe, maybe they're in charge of making sure that about the feasting, and other people are in charge of taking the drum to be warmed by the fire. One person's in charge of leading all the songs. He's sort of the knowledge keeper for all the songs. The other guy just takes care of the drum. His role and responsibility is to take care of the drum and making sure there's tobacco and making sure the ceremonies take place. So everybody plays a position on that drum. So there's one thing to just be able to drum and sing songs, and then the other part is, that whole other part is about the different positions that people play. I think one of the things that's valuable for any drummer is making sure who we learn from, is making sure that our teachers are well-rounded and are able to show us things in a good way. I believe I was very fortunate in that respect, that I went and learned from elders about the drum, and learned the songs and so forth, and I tried not to take shortcuts, when I was being taught these things, and I always valued the elders, that they're an integral part of what the drum is all about and what drumming is all about. I wanted to learn the right way. The majority of my time, the drummers I spent time with came from Minnesota and Treaty 3 areas, like Fort Francis area. So drums in that area, and I learned different things from different people, and it was all good, So I've been very blessed to had the opportunity to meet some really good people. Excuse me. But the drummer, in essence, just shares the songs of yesterday. Shares the healing and shares the stories of our people.
Are there any differences?
In what way? In drums?
Comparison to Lakota?
Wherever you go, there are variances in how things are done. There's variances in protocols. For example, we can travel to Ojibway country, and the further south you go, the teachings change in relation to the drum and different protocols, because they've maybe shared information with other tribes that are closer to them. Like if you visit, say, St. Croix, Mille Lacs, Minnesota, anyone that's close to the Lakota Nation, they have some practices. They're a little bit different than what we do up here. And that has to do with the proximity of who your neighbor is and where you learn your teachings, right? So one of the big ones that I noticed when I traveled to Wisconsin was a lot of the drums sat on the outside. And someone would say to me, "Oh, they're contest drums," but that's not the case. The Lakota, their drums always sit on the outside. They don't put their drums in the middle like we do. The Ojibway put the drums in the middle, but the Lakota sit on the outside. And primarily in a lot of their ceremonies, they sit on the south side, is where they put their drums. So if you go to a Sundance, for example, their drums sit on the south side. But I've been to a lot of powwows, and everybody tries to sit, on that south side, but they circle the entire. The staffs go right in the middle, and then it's the dancers and then the drums. where of course, whereas here in Ojibway country, we put the drums in the middle, and then our dance is right, and then we surround that with the people. So then the Eagle staffs kind of sit around our drums. It's in a different order, right? So it just varies on I guess where you come from and the way things are done. And that's one of the big ones that I noticed. As the further I went south, how the drums went to the outside as opposed to the inside. But the Lakota have always had their drum, right? The Ojibways, we lost our first drum. So I was told we put our drum in the middle so that we don't lose our drum again. Everyone's got their eyes on it this time. We have dancers surrounding it. We have our staffs protecting it. We have spectators and families and everyone looking in. So we're not going to lose our second. We're not going to lose our second gift. We lost our first drum, right? Water drum was pretty much gone, and people are trying to bring that back as well. There's been a resurgence around the water drum, but we're very fortunate. Our Lakota neighbors shared their teachings with us, so we put our drums in the middle, keep close eye on them. And then that energy also radiates from the center and goes out in every direction. That's why we do that. We want our healing and that good life to go in every direction, right from the middle and radiate out in every direction. So,
Awesome.
something about that, yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, Ron.
All right, thank you. Me good.